Good morning, everybody. I know we've just kind of turned the webinar on. I want to make sure I get a chance to welcome everybody. I see some names I haven't seen in a while. Carol Jones, it's nice to see you. I haven't seen you since, I think, IBS last year. Debbie Boyd from Olympia, good to see you. Wow, the names are just popping in. This is fantastic. So I see Jennifer Vanderbecken, who is our Remodelers Council Chair. It's great to see you. I see some MBA, PWB past chairs, which is great to see. I got Robin Nolan, I've got Jamie Sue, Sherry Schwab. It's great to see you guys. Welcome. We're just kind of letting all the attendees kind of get on board before we go ahead and get this started. So we'll start just a couple of minutes late. We're having some technical difficulties on our end, so we have over 80 people listed for this event, which is absolutely fantastic. So there's a lot of names here that I don't recognize, so I definitely want to make sure I take a chance to welcome all of you. Terry Everhart, I see you're on, who is the National Association PWB Vice Chair this year. So it's great to have you on board. I'm guessing Karen told you had to be here. I see Betsy Shepard is here. Welcome, Betsy, who is the NHB PWB past chair, immediate past chair. It's great to have you guys on. I'm seeing the numbers continue to increase. So we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure that as many of the attendees can get on board before we get started. I'm seeing a bunch of chats. It's great to see everybody coming on board. Yes, Debbie, it's great to see you. I see you in the chat. It's great to have Olympia on board. Current newest council is of last year for Washington State. So that's fantastic. So, all right, I was just going to give it a couple more minutes. I see that our attendees are still coming in. This was fantastic. I got the attendee list, and we have people from all over the state of Washington, plus a number of all over the countries, which is phenomenal. And a huge shout out to Karen Schroeder, who is obviously doing our speaking today. So I wanted to make sure that she gets thanked many times, because I know it was a challenge to fit into her schedule. So it's very much appreciated. Jill Andrews, I see that this is your first luncheon as a new MBA member. I believe we met at the Shaken Not Stirred, so great to have you on board. All right. I'm still seeing some get on board. So without further ado, as more attendees continue to sign on, we'll get started with some of the housekeeping items for us. I do want to do a quick welcome to everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kimberly Martin. I'm with a company called Steinberg Scapes, and I am the current 2021, gotta get the new year in, PWB chair here at the Master Builders, King Snohomish County. I do want to say myself, along with my vice chair, who is Jennifer Tennyson of Tennyson Paint, are really glad that you guys are all joining us today on this webinar. Our Professional Women in Building advocates for, supports, and inspires women in the building industry by providing opportunities for both professional and personal development, as well as engagement for our members. PWB for me, I've been a member for, I think, since about 2005. The PWB group for me is all about women supporting other women, and I get a ton of support from the people that I know in this industry, and also great networking, because women do love to support and network with other women. So that's just kind of a little synopsis of what PWB means to me, and one of the reasons that I became the chair this year and have been working through that portion. For those of you that are not already members of either our local Professional Women in Building chapter here in King Snohomish County, or not a Professional Women in Building member anywhere in the country, we'd love to have you either join us or join the National Association to be a member at large. Here locally, we do a ton of networking events. We have lunches, obviously, with influential speakers like today. We have opportunities to support our community. We get a chance to be involved in stewardships and help those coming up into the industry, and a ton more things that we do here in our local association. But please, if you are not a member of Professional Women in Building, please feel free to reach out either to myself, and I believe my email is going to end up in the chat box, or to Nicole Early, who is our Membership Council's manager. And her email will also be put into the chat box. All right, really quickly, our next Professional Women in Building event, the Shaken Not Stirred, will be on May 4th via Zoom, because we want to obviously keep following all the rules, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is a fantastic opportunity to network. There is no cost to the Shaken Not Stirred, and it's held the first Tuesday of every month. It's free to attend, and all are welcome. Even if you're not part of our local, we do have, absolutely, since it's virtual, would love to have anybody here in the state join us. Contact Nicole Early for the link to that program, and I believe Nicole's email ended up in the chat. So please mark your calendars for that Professional Women in Building lunch, or sorry, Professional Women in Building Shaken Not Stirred. Other upcoming events that we have are the Professional Women in Building lunch that we'll have in June. It will be similar to this time frame. It's usually the second Tuesday of the month. And then our big event, the Professional Women in Building Conference, is on October 7th. So please mark your calendars for those dates. The October 7th one should be in person. So it's we're really looking forward to it and have on tap a phenomenal speaker. So we are grateful to have a sponsor who constantly supports our Professional Women in Building and the events that we hold. I'd like to introduce Kim Murphy with ERNwest to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for giving us the ability to sponsor. I really appreciate this group. I always enjoy the speakers. So basically what ERNwest does is we actually manage the GRIP retrospective rating program. So in Washington, we kind of know all things workers' compensation, and we help people actually save money and get a refund on that. But again, we just really appreciate the opportunity to sponsor. You guys always have great speakers. I'm really looking forward to listening to Karen today. And yeah, thank you. And thank you, Kimberly.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Kim. We couldn't do these events without the support of you guys, ERNwest, and any of our other sponsors. So we very much appreciate the support that you give us. We obviously today have a great webinar planned. I do want to say, if you have any questions or any questions come to mind during the presentation, please open up and put them in that Q&A section that should be on a button on the bottom of all of your screens, so that once the presentation is completed and we get to the Q&A section, we can get those questions answered from Karen. All right, for those of you that don't know Karen Schroeder, let me give you a little bit of a synopsis of her. Karen Schroeder is the Vice President and co-founder of Mayberry Homes in East Lansing, Michigan. She was instrumental in chartering and is the past chair of the Greater Lansing Professional Women in Building Council. She is the current chair of the National Association of Home Builders, PWB Executive Board, as well as the 2019 past chair of the National Association of Home Building 55 Plus Housing Council. Karen was the first woman, along with her business partner, to be inducted into the Michigan Construction Hall of Fame. They were named the #1 builder in North America in customer service by Avid Ratings, which was formerly the NRS, and continue to be awarded the Gold Award for Customer Experience annually. They were named National Volunteer of the Year by St. Jude, Building Partner of the Year by Homes for Our Troops, and given the Ballantine Award for Extraordinary Service. Karen was named the 2017 Advisory Board Member of the Year by National Association of Home Building because of her service with the Michigan State University. Karen and her business partner were named 2017 Greater Lansing Business of the Year And in 2017, Karen was named the National Association of Home Building Professional Women in Building Woman of the Year. Most recently, Karen became the recipient of the Michigan State University College of Natural Sources Honorary Alumni Award. That was a mouthful. I do want to say, please make sure you all welcome Karen Schroeder.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Wow, a big group, a little intimidating, but I'll do the best I can for all of you. And I really appreciate you asking me to come and speak to all of you. It's a wonderful group of people that I call my sisters, so to speak. So thanks for inviting me. I am the co-owner and vice president of Mayberry Homes, which is a family-owned home building company in East Lansing, Michigan. I have 3 grown children and 2 beautiful grandchildren, all who are the lights of my life. And I am your NAHB PWB chair this year. So I was asked to come and speak to you all about how I got involved with the home building industry, and then how did I end up as the national chair of PWB? So when I was putting this speech together, I thought, how far back do I go? And I thought I'd start at the beginning. And the reason I'm doing that is because you'll see the different ups and downs and steps I took to get here, because we all have a history, and our history is what brings us to today. So I started my pre-adult career as a dental assistant. It never occurred to me to go into the housing industry. Perhaps it should have. My grandfather, after having immigrated to the United States, acquired several rental properties. And as a child, I remember I would accompany him while he would drive around and check the properties. I was fairly content myself in the dental field. I found it a bit boring, but the paychecks were consistent, and I met some wonderful people along the way. During those years, I had a very good friend who was in the housing industry, and his name is Tom. He sold real estate, but had aspirations of being a home builder. Anyone that knows me knows that I encourage people to follow their dreams, and I did the same for him. When he decided to take the leap, I did all I could to assist and support his new endeavor. During the startup year, I was instrumental in putting together his forms, his contracts, spec sheets, etc. He had acquired a collection of floor plans, which we put together one night, and we'll just call that his computer book. For the record, there was no computer in his office. I would help him with his pricing. I wrote up his descriptions for his ads. I shopped for office supplies. I even assisted him in hiring a salesperson. The entire time, he encouraged me to leave the dental office and come work with him, but I refused. Again, I had no desire to work in the home building industry. A couple of years passed. His company got off the ground, and he was doing fairly well. He ended up being the best man at my wedding and tended to be around us quite a bit. One afternoon, he showed up at the dental office at lunchtime. He knew I had Thursday afternoons off, so he was going to take me to lunch. Okay, I hopped in his car, and he drove me to the door of the Lansing Civic Center, which no longer exists, by the way. He then informed me he had signed me up for a licensing exam, quote, just so you have it under your belt, and assured me he'd take me to lunch when I was done. I was livid. I knew nothing about the licensing exam. I hadn't studied. I was hungry. I didn't want my license, and I was stuck. So I got out, slammed the door, cursed him under my breath all the way up the steps, and went in and took the darn test. I was convinced I bombed out on it, and I didn't care. I came out, gave him a piece of my mind, and then we went to lunch. And I really did just put it behind me. A couple of weeks later, Tom showed up at my dental office again on a Thursday afternoon. I laughed when I saw him and made it clear that I wasn't going to go back and retake that test. He told me it wouldn't be necessary and handed me a gift-wrapped box. Inside was my first set of business cards with my name on it. I guess I passed the test. I was in my early 20s at the time, and I felt pretty cool having business cards. He then requested or begged me to go home, change out of my uniform, and meet him at the office. He was relentless. He wanted me to just help out and see how I felt about it. So I did, and surprisingly felt pretty comfortable. I joined him in a sales appointment, and I was surprised at how much I actually knew. Having had the experience of setting up his office allowed me to learn more than I ever thought I could. That was something he would continually say to me for years. You know a lot more than you think you do. Well, he was right. During that first sales appointment we were in, he was called out of the office, and I completed the appointment. I was stuck in there with these customers. I actually sold him the house. I drew up the contract. I knew the contracts. I created them with help from his attorney, and I took a deposit and sent the people on their way. He was pretty surprised when I handed him the paperwork. I was too. He asked if I would consider working Thursday afternoons after work from the dentist office and then do Sunday open houses for him. So I agreed. The following Sunday, I showed up at the house with a printout of the home. That was it. Long story short, a buyer came in. There's obviously a story, but in the interest of time, I'll save that. And I sold the house. 2 houses in 4 days. I drove to his house with my contract and deposit in hand. And he then noted that I made more money in those 2 appointments than I would make in 2 weeks at the dentist office. The decision to make the switch at that point was very easy. It was the late 70s. Tom had so much confidence in me, much more than I had in myself, which was a life lesson for me. Selling homes came easy. I connected with the purchasers. I believed in my product. I had a passion for the company, all which made for a pretty successful adventure for a while. Then the recession hit. Interest rates jumped to 21%. People could not afford homes. FHA programs became very popular, and I squeaked through the next several years by the skin of my teeth. I'm not going to lie, it was horrible. I swore I would never recommend the housing industry as a career to anyone ever, but we made it. Again, this was the 70s. Looking back, there weren't many women in the industry at that time. I live in a fairly small town, albeit it was the capital of the state and home to the Big Ten University, Michigan State, but there was no nationals in my market. And more often than not, I was the only woman in the room at meetings and functions. Funny thing about that, though, I didn't even realize I was the only woman. I grew up with 3 brothers. It was fairly common for me to be the only girl. Occasionally, male customers would try to stump me to make themselves feel macho, but more often than not, I knew the answers to their questions. If I didn't, I was diligent about getting the correct answer for them. I knew my job. I knew my job. I believed I was doing something important. I had a passion, and I was going to be fine. So years passed. I sold hundreds of homes. I had 3 beautiful children. I did the working mother dance, house, kids, job, wife, daughter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You all know what I'm talking about. I went through a divorce and decided I wanted to do something more than sales. I took a job with the largest real estate company in town and opened up their new homes division. I was now going to teach realtors how to sell homes. I needed them to add new construction to their inventory. I connected with builders I knew and encouraged them to list their land with me. I would then train a couple of agents to be exclusive agents for that specific development. And then I would reach out to builders I knew and encourage them to build a spec home in the community. It worked. Before I knew it, I had a pretty successful division humming along, but I wanted more. So I accepted a job with a production builder in the North Detroit suburbs. Now I was working with the big boys, nationals all around me. I was intimidated, but I was determined to make it work. This was the first time since the dental office where I was on salary instead of commission. I was hired in as a marketing director. While I learned quite a bit, I didn't really enjoy myself. I was no longer working with customers. I was no longer teaching agents. I was losing my passion. I was now placing ads, overseeing models, working with sales managers, and swallowing corporate structure. I didn't belong there, and I knew it. I stuck with it for a year or so and learned as much as I could as quickly as I could. By this time, I had gotten fairly serious with another man, Bob, who was back in Lansing, a builder who worked in his family business and was looking to leave the business and go out on his own. So I left the marketing director position and returned home with the idea of working with Bob to create something that we could both be proud of. We had a history of working within the housing industry in various capacities. He was production, I was sales, marketing, and training. We attended a number of housing seminars, Chuck Shin, Builder 20 groups, always attended the IBS with NAHB, Martin Friedland, Lee Evans. I was always looking to expand my horizons within the industry. We were introduced to a developer in California who wanted us to come out west and build homes for him, but it never seemed quite right. While I was attending a conference out of town, I think it might have been IBS actually, Bob called me and mentioned he had been approached by a man named Daryl Kessler. And Daryl was a developer, a road builder, a landowner. He had just obtained zoning, which would turn land previously slated to be a mobile home park into a neighborhood of single family homes. He wanted Bob and I to do the community. I remember telling Bob I would be home later that evening and we could discuss it. Well, he was so excited. He picked me up from the airport and drove me out to the property on the way home. Now, he always liked taking his Jeep off road, so I didn't give it any thought when we pulled off the road. It was pitch black. He turned on his bright lights and all I could see was vacant land. "This is it," he said. He was very proud of himself. Well, obviously I couldn't see anything, but promised we could come back in the morning and look at it. So we got home, turned on TV to watch the 11 o'clock news. And just before it started, the announcer stated, "New development approved will bail out East Lansing schools, news at 11. We both looked at each other and knew we were about to embark on something huge. I picked up the phone then and there. I didn't care what time it was. And I called Mr. Kessler. I told him we were in and we wanted to meet the following morning. This was an incredible turning point for my career, and I knew it. Within a couple of weeks, we were set up in our new office. It was a small 2-room space, but it didn't matter. It would serve us nicely. We had someone who believed in us and put up all his land with virtually no restrictions. He wanted us to do what we believed should be done, and we did. Our market tends to always be lagging behind the rest of the country. There seems to be a lack of creativity. We weren't interested in building McMansions, and we didn't like the thought of vinyl boxes either. We wanted to build homes that Bob and I believed were missing in our community. We pulled together a team of experts, people we had worked with in the past, designers, decorators, marketing gurus. We listened to them all and then embarked on our own with ideas in tow. We brought traditional neighborhood design to our marketplace. We built models with bright colors and huge master suites, big front porches, 9-foot ceilings, finished basements, and yet they were extremely affordable, which was perfect for the first-time home buyer. We were so excited. We were bursting with our passion and belief in our product and placement. We wanted to be different, unique, kind of like the purple cow concept, if any of you know what that is. Needless to say, it worked. We built 100 homes our first year, and there were only 3 of us in the office, basically. Our dream became a reality in what seemed like a very short time, but in reality, it was our lifetimes. Looking back, it was our history that brought us our success. We loved housing. We loved the people, the customers, the trades, the vendors, the consultants, even the bankers. I can't begin to tell you how amazing it feels to drive through one of our communities now and see people walking dogs or kids playing outside, or a group of 55 plus neighbors with their lawn chairs and wine glasses. We provided the place for their memories to develop and grow. We provided home. So years went by. We developed and built numerous neighborhoods. We became fairly well known in the market. We were a family-owned business passionately committed to creating lifestyle communities. We believed that with success came a social responsibility to our communities as a whole. We built 3 St. Jude Dream Homes, which raised more than $2 million for St. Jude. We built and donated Home for Our Troops, which was affiliated with NAHB. We built a house for the ABC Extreme Home Makeover, which really pulled our community together during one of the worst housing crashes in all time. That was in 2008. We put on a holiday party for the Catholic Social Services St. Vincent Home for Foster Families each year, which has become an annual event that every employee of Mayberry participates in, including Santa. The list goes on and on. It's incredibly important to us that we aren't just building houses. We live in our communities. We raise our families in our communities, and we believe in our communities. So outside of the charity work, I felt it was now time for me personally to get involved in something bigger than my company. Perhaps it was now time to give back to my industry as a whole. I had already volunteered on a local level with my HBA. I was on the social committee, government affairs committee, state director, national director, but it felt like I could now dedicate my time and energy to NAHB. I just wasn't sure where I fit. So first and foremost, if you remember nothing else from this speech, please remember my mantra, a seat at the table. Because in a nutshell, this is what my term as your national chair is all about. When I came to my first NAHB PWB meeting in Washington, D.C. at a spring board meeting 7 years ago, I had no idea what I was walking into. I was invited to attend the conference by my dear friend Ann Garvey. We arrived late afternoon, had dinner with Ann's friends, who I'm happy to report welcomed me with open arms, and I'm happy to call them my friends as well. The following morning, she handed me this book filled with meeting times and locations. She basically said, pick one or two. I had never heard of PWB locally, but I had read it was a group of women in my industry, and it sort of piqued my interest. I indicated I would be looking into PWB and maybe 55 plus. Also, let's do sales and marketing. So Ann instructed me prior to walking into a meeting to be sure to sit against the wall. I was not a board member. I was a guest, and some of you have heard this. I did what I was told. I walked into my first PWB meeting, quietly sat down against the wall, and looked around the table to see if there were any familiar faces. At the time, there weren't. However, I did make eye contact with a woman across the room who immediately motioned for me to take a seat at the table. At that moment, I was included. I belonged. There was an automatic sense of kinship. Before I left the room, I wrote a check and filled out my paperwork to become an at-large member. Within 30 days, I wasn't only an at-large member of NAHB PWB, but I was able to initiate the formation of a local PWB council back home in Lansing, which I chaired for a couple of years. Throughout this time, I co-chaired the Awards and Recognition Committee on a national level and participated in numerous meetings and events with PWB nationally. I was included. I had a seat at the table. I ask each and every one of you today to take that to heart and motion for someone to join you. My first goal as your chair is inclusion, and I like to call it the seat at the table. Pull out a chair for someone, include them. Not one of us is any better than the next. However, together, we are a force to be reckoned with. Together is the key word here. Bring others into our circle, include them. My second goal this year is be a mentor. We are an amazing combination of bright, talented, strong individuals with a wealth of knowledge pertaining to our industry. We would all be multimillionaires if we could bottle that energy. Obviously, that's not an option. However, we can and shall stand united in the belief of teaching, sharing, and assisting others to learn and grow within their current positions. We can make a difference by guiding them and offering our expertise. Anyone that knows me personally is aware of my affiliation with Michigan State University. I have had the opportunity to get involved with the students in the construction management program, working with the professors, coaching the four-year competition with NAHB, opening the doors to my office, as well as my construction sites to assist them in their journey. I was even instrumental in assisting to get a student PWB council formed at Michigan State. Well, as you heard earlier, I was recently the recipient of a very prestigious honorary alumni award from Michigan State due to the mentoring I do with the kids. I now ask you to look into your own communities. Pinpoint an area, a person, a company where you can share your knowledge and mentor someone to make a difference in their lives on behalf of PWB. My third goal is leadership. As previously noted, we are a combination of bright, talented, strong individuals with a wealth of knowledge. I challenge all of you to share your expertise within NAHB. I am the past chair of NAHB 55 Plus Housing Council. I would never have accepted that role had it not been for my experiences here at PWB. I obtained the confidence and the skills by watching and learning from the leaders before me. Some of you mentored me without even knowing it. There are at least 2 past NAHB PWB chairs that started out here in Washington, Julie Bacon and Darylene Denon. Along with these 2, I currently have a few Washington leaders on my new board this year, including Sherry Schwab and Llewellyn Smith. There are a number of other ladies from this area who I know are affiliated with PWB, and I consider them strong, high-energy women, including Jody Bailey, Jamie Sue, Melissa Irons, Kimberly Martin, Brooke Smothers, Monica Wheaton, Robin Nolan, Terry Kartek, Heidi Ide, and Myra Williams. And if I pronounced your names wrong, I'm sorry. It was not intentional. These ladies are just a few of the many women who are paving the way for all of us as we accept positions of leadership. Then there's our very own superstar, Alicia Huey. Although she isn't from Washington, she's one who has worked her way up through the ranks and will soon become the NAHB chair, leading us all. It is my hope we will all continue to groom great leaders moving forward. Chairs, subcommittee chairs, keep your eyes open. Continue to enhance your councils and your committees with individuals who want to grow and be a part of an ongoing learning process, which will enable them to be our future leaders moving forward. Lastly, my 4th goal is diversity. I have been given an amazing opportunity and have been seated on the NAHB Diversity Task Force. For the record, it is co-chaired by a past NAHB PWB chair, Judy Donnell. Again, those that know me know my story. I was a young Jewish girl who grew up in an all-white Christian community south of Detroit. There was no diversity. At a very young age, and I think I was about 9 or 10, arsonists burned my synagogue to the ground after having painted swastikas on the doors the week before. I had no knowledge of anti-Semitic thoughts or behaviors prior to that moment. At that time, my mother, who was the only mom on the street that worked outside the home, worked for the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. She was a field investigator. She would share her stories of individuals who were discriminated against in the workplace because of their sex, or the color of their skin, or their religion, or their age. I could never understand that. I still can't. I pledge to each and every one of you, we will not tolerate exclusion from any PWB activity or function or committee or chairmanship due to where one originates from or their race or their sexual orientation or their religion, etc. Ladies, we are one. We are strong, intelligent leaders. We will grow and learn and enhance others with our expertise and knowledge. You are all hereby tasked with working hand in hand with me to ensure we will all mentor, include, lead, and demand diversity in our daily lives. Lastly, as I had mentioned before, I was motioned to have a seat at the table many years ago. That woman who motioned to me was our very own past NAHB PW chair from last year, Betsy Shepard. Had it not been for her leadership and guidance, I wouldn't be here right now. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and ask you all if you have any questions for me.
All right, hold on, Karen. I just want to make sure that I get back up there. Can everybody hear me? Karen, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I don't see my image, but that's all right. I'm fine with that. Karen, thank you for the presentation. Phenomenal. Hearing you speak is always so inspiring.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. And sharing your vision for this year's PWB at the national level just helps us on the local level. So we're going to go ahead and go answering questions that were in the Q&A. Let me see if I can pull that screen up. Still learning the technical pieces. All right, our first one is from Christy Allen, past chair of our local HBA in Utah. Welcome, Christy. How do I get involved at the national level?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have a list. No, actually, maybe I'll just share a few things with you so you have a little idea of what we're doing at the national level right now. There are 3 national subcommittees. There's Awards and Recognition, which focuses on recruitment of applications for NAHB's PWB awards and scholarships. The PWB Awards for NAHB Woman of the Year, PWB Member of the Year, and Councils of the Year for small, medium, and large councils. Watch the website for updates on this, and you can all go to the Facebook page. Membership and Communication Subcommittee focuses on recruitment, engagement, and retention of local and at-large members, as well as communicating the value of PWB membership. And Professional Development Subcommittee, which is kind of a new subcommittee now, and it focuses on programming in 3 areas. The IBS show, emerging programming for PWB LinkedIn group and other areas, and also PWB Week, September 13th to 17th. Everybody mark that down, September 13th to 17th, National PWB Week. The theme is diversifying the construction industry. Make sure you note the dates. If you are a member of PWB Facebook, we thank you. If not, join the NAHB Professional Women in Building Facebook group. This active group has more than 2,500 members, and it's a place to share your local council activities, pick up event information for NAHB and National PWB. If any of these committees sound at all appealing to you, we need your help. So Claudia Richards at National, and I think, Claudia, if you could put your email address, I should know it by heart, but if you could put your email address in the chat, people can let you know that they're interested in participating on one or more of the committees, and we'll add them to the list and get them on the calls. We have subcommittee calls regularly. It'd be great to include people.
Perfect. Well, that definitely, I think, should answer Christy's question, because with the information that's in the chat room, no, it's great. I love understanding a little bit more, because I'm relatively new to the national stage and joining some of the ones. The next one is Terry Everhart. Tell us the story of the billboards after being named Woman of the Year.
Well, I can't.
Story there.
There's a big story, and I won't drag it out, but I should have some pictures next time. I am considered the billboard queen back home, because that was my marketing venue. And I don't like boring billboards, but it's a way to capture, when the newspapers went away, I thought, how do I capture all these people besides online? I mean, online is a, ball of its own, but this was a little different. So I got pretty creative. And one of the best stories was I was trying to hit a market of a certain age group. And one night I woke up in the middle of the night and thought, that age group are the same ages as my kids. So how do you connect with your kids? Well, you text. So I took a huge leap of faith. Of course, the billboard company loved me, because I contracted, I think, 9 big, huge highway billboards. And for the first 2 weeks, I had up there just my colors. They were the blue and green, kind of like what you see on the screen. I had just my colors. I did not have my name. I did not have my address. All it said was LOL or OMG or LMAO. That's all it said. It had nothing else on it. And I was choking because it was just throwing money out the window. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to make this work or not. They all went up the same day. That was the deal with the billboard company. And they were huge. So then during that 2 weeks, it started picking up steam. And one day I was getting ready for work and I heard somebody call into the radio station and say, hey, who's putting up those billboards around town? You think it's Mayberry? And I thought, wow. I didn't answer, obviously. I just was thrilled that people were thinking it was me. 2 weeks later, all in one afternoon, the boards were changed out. And now the LOL said lap of luxury, mayberryhomes.com. LMAO turned into let's make an offer, mayberryhomes.com. OMG was, oh, Mayberry's great, mayberryhomes.com. You know, it was just hokey. But it worked. And people were just, even today, I mean, that was years ago. Even today, I go into a function where I don't know someone and they come up, you're the billboard lady. Well, no, I'm a builder who uses billboards. I went to a restaurant shortly after all that. And the owner of the restaurant came out and offered to pay me to do some billboards for him. I had to explain, I don't do billboards. So thank you, Terry. I am the billboard queen.
It's a great story, though, I have to admit. And, you know, everybody's got to be known for something, Karen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yes. Next question comes from Betsy Shepard. What is one single word you can give us that sums up your story and experience in the housing industry? And or what one piece of advice can you share with our younger PWB members who want to become strong leaders, God, if I speak today, within the NAHB Federation? So I guess it's technically two questions.
Okay, the first word that comes to mind is passion. Had I not had passion driving me throughout my entire history with the industry, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been successful. And, you know, I had a mentor. I had my friend Tom, who believed in me and encouraged me when I didn't believe in myself. And had he not been that catalyst of pushing me forward, I wouldn't do it. So passion and mentorship got me to where I am. And there's a third word for today that I have felt for the last 7 years, and that's the sisterhood I have acquired with PWB, without a doubt. That's number one.
Yeah. All right. And then the one piece of advice for younger PWB members?
Jump. Do it. Okay. Do it. Don't let outside influences discourage you. I told you in my speech, I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was get into the housing industry. And during the worst time, when interest rates were 21%, I swore I would never let anybody I know get into the industry. It was the smartest thing I did. You have to be prepared to recalibrate throughout your career. And, you know, you're going to need to make changes. When interest rates go up, you reconnect with other, you know, other items that will help you succeed. 2008, everything came crashing down. We had to re-engineer all our plans and pricing. The only people that could buy homes were first-time home buyers because nobody could sell their homes. So I had to focus on first-time home buyers and hit their price point. You always have to be prepared to make a few changes along the way, tweak.
Yes, and Karen, I went right through that mortgage mess. That's when I bought my first home. So I understand it from the other perspective. So
exactly.
All right, I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Melissa Irons, who obviously is here locally. She said, thanks for the shout out, Karen. I am the current executive committee member here at MBA-KS PWB and vice chair of our local remodelers council, obviously here at MBA. Can you talk about how NAHB PWB is encouraging future leadership in local, state, and national PWB councils?
I think what PWB is like this huge umbrella over us all. And they're protecting us and they're giving us the opportunity to learn and grow and experience other networking opportunities and educational processes in order to succeed. And when it comes to leadership, and I talk about that, You know, again, it falls with mentoring. I think we have a wonderful executive officer liaison, Cindy Kozlowski, and she's actually from Lansing. She has been very instrumental in helping councils get off the ground from an EO standpoint. Pinpoint people, you know, I can't tell you, and of course I probably shouldn't tell everybody, but when I'm in a subcommittee meeting, and there was one this morning, there are people that I'm communicating with that are leaders within the organization, within the association, that will text me and say, she's one to watch. There's a leader. Here's somebody that's going to go places with PWB. Be involved, stay involved. And the great thing about national and your current board is if you're doing something on a state or local level and you need assistance, you need someone to come and meet with your group or talk to your group or help get a group off the ground, we have those resources for you. Betsy Shepard, holy mackerel, 19 new councils last year during her chairmanship. She worked it and she's still working it. And once you can encourage an interest, then you can kind of look through the people that are interested. Who's willing to take on certain tasks? You don't want to just nail someone or overload someone with huge work. Break it up. You got 5 people? Great. Everybody take a task. And again, we're here to help you. If you need assistance, reach out. We're available to assist or get you in contact with someone that can help you.
All right, great.
Does that answer the question? I think I go off on tangents.
No, I know. I think it did. The next one, and I'm going to apologize if I mispronounce your names. Jenny Modlin said, we're just getting our PWB restarted after the COVID hit, put the brakes on everything. Do you have any suggestions for reaching out to women who might be in the, what she calls support positions like office management, etc., to encourage being in PWB? She feels women hear PWB and they think, I don't qualify because I'm not a builder.
They absolutely qualify. When I went to my very first PWB meeting and I signed a check to be an at-large member, I walked out in the hall and I called my EO at my local HBA and I said, put a list together, please, of all the women that work in all the companies that are members. And I said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to sponsor a luncheon. Everybody likes to eat. So I had a luncheon during the lunch hour. It doesn't have to be after hours. We were very cognizant of time restrictions. We were cognizant of where we located the luncheon so people from all over could come. And I encouraged office staff to come. 55 people showed up at that luncheon. Obviously, there was a need. 30 of them filled out checks. That's not an exaggeration. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And what's cool about PWB is, all right, I'm a builder, but I'm very close with a number of women that are either vendors, suppliers, contractors, decorators. Yeah, we don't all have to be doing the same thing, but we respect each other because we're within the same industry and we get it. We just get it in different angles.
Yes, and like I said, when I talked about what PWB means for me, it's the support, and usually the support is definitely not from people that are within a similar industry from where I'm at. So,
right.
But yeah, I think using the HBA to get that list was a great starting point. So, Jenny, that might be a good option for you. Next question comes from Mindy Lepp. If you could accomplish just one thing this year with PWB, what would it be?
One. I have to go with just one. Okay, well, I want to finish what Betsy started and Darlene started before that. And that is, I want a council in every state. We have, I believe, 14, Claudia helped me with this. We're close, 14, 15 states that still need a PWB council. So I would like very much to be 14 states outstanding. So I want 14 more councils. Actually, I want more than that, but I'll take, if I could just get one in every state, I got it covered. But that's just one of many goals that I have. And things that I'd like to accomplish. You know, with all the things that are going on in this world right now, boy, it's so nice to have PWB. It really is. It's a good place to be.
Yes. Yes. And a follow-up from Mindy, which probably is as much for Claudia as for you, is what states are left?
Oh, Claudia can tell you.
Claudia, if you have a chance, if you could put that into the chat.
That's good. That's a good question, Mindy. Thank you.
That I have, because it's something that I'm working with here locally, is what's happening with the new National Association of Home Building Diversity Task Force?
I have some talking points for you from there. In a nutshell, well, the task force was established by our chairman, Chuck Falk, last year to reinforce that everyone is welcome in the whole NAHB Federation. The DEI, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion charge, is to address, review, and institute best practices for developing and sustaining policies designed to enhance a diverse and inclusive membership that is representative and reflective of all communities that seek the American dream of home ownership. There was a press release announcing NAHB formed a DEI task force, and it was published on March 15th. We have received positive responses from executive officers and members about the release, which prompted some individuals to volunteer to help with the initiatives. Several people contacted us and said, put me in a committee, let me help. NAHB participated in a DEI survey conducted by the American Society of Association Executives and is widely considered to be the center for association leadership. ASAE's research will deliver insight to the association community about the role of DEI in association governance, leadership, and organizational strategy. As study participants, we will receive early access to the report with recommendations so that our organization can benefit directly from the effort. Several NAHB DEI webinars were held in March, and they were facilitated by NAHB Workforce Development Team, Affiliate Services Department. So the task force is in the process of collecting and reviewing any DEI policies and procedures already in effect at affiliated local or state HBAs. This effort will serve two purposes: assess what extent our affiliated local and state HBAs are addressing this important issue, and two, help NAHB create resources at the national level that will be available to our affiliated association. The task force also established a comprehensive plan to connect DEI initiative with NAHB stakeholders. The plan has been divided, into phases. Phase one includes several recommendations to be addressed before and during the upcoming spring leadership meeting, and it will encourage each NAHB stakeholder to begin addressing DEI in their sphere of influence.
Must be all that sun in Arizona.
It is sphere of influence within the Federation. All in all, if you're interested in volunteering to help with this effort, let me know. Just send me an email, please. Karen@mayberryhomes.com.
All right. And hopefully Lindsay can get that up in the chat room.
Yes, please, Lindsay.
Claudia, I don't know if you're seeing the chat, Karen. Claudia did. There are 15 outstanding states, apparently. And what is this? The Northeast is a prime. I mean, really? Virginia, Vermont, West Virginia, Maine, New Hampshire. What's going on with the Northeast?
I don't know. We might need to take a road trip.
Yes, but Sherry had to comment that all states in Area 15, which Washington is part of, have a PWB council. Of course she had to,
they do.
Yes, of course she had to mention that. So I'm just trying to see if there are any more questions coming in. Yes, perfect. I got a couple more. Jennifer Tennyson, who is my vice chair, said, what are the skill sets and attributes that women bring to the table, in your opinion?
Oh, there's so many. You know, we're women. We're women. You know, we connect. We connect. I was in a restaurant the other day, and yeah, they're open here. But this was kind of funny. I said something and I realized I could never imagine a man doing this. A lady walked by and I really liked her outfit. She looked so dynamic and in charge, and she looked great. And I said, I love your outfit. Can you imagine a man doing that? Some guy walks by, I really like your tie. We connect on a different level. I wasn't just saying, I love your outfit. I was saying, you look confident, you look strong, you look like you've got it together. Women connect on a level that, and I'm not bashing men. I could, and I shouldn't, and I won't say that, but really, truly, women connect on a different level. And yeah, Lindsay, thank you. That's my motto there. We fix each other's crowns. And that's true. We do in so many avenues, on so many levels. So women bring something to the table. You know, it's interesting. My company, Bob and I, are business partners. He brought production to the table. It's not like I couldn't do it, but he brought his history of production. I brought sales, I brought the people part of it. Together, it worked. So often, we're not, we don't have the luxury of having that word together, it works. So, as I said, while I was doing that, I was also raising kids, taking care of a house, taking care of my mother, taking care. We take care of things, and we take care of our customers. We take care of our vendors. We reach out, we remember the birthdays, we send notes, you know, we give them a kudos when it's deserved. But we're also tough. And when the times call for a strong, tough response to something, go back to a difficult customer, handle a price increase that we don't want, we're able to do that too. So I think women bring a softer, kinder, stronger, confident, passionate being to the table. How's that?
That's quite a few adjectives. I like the answer, though, I have to admit. All right, I've got one from Paige Reed.
Okay.
She said, do you have any advice for a 20-something receptionist about to step into a project coordination position? And she said she loved your story, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Her name's Paige.
Paige, yeah.
There are women in PWB that have done what you're doing. You know how cool it is to see some of my committee members, and they're so young and they're hungry and they want to learn and they want to grow. And I think what you need to do is reach out beyond your circle. You know, something that I found with NAHB years ago is that Builder 20 group. And they're all over. I don't know if they're still going on, but they were so cool to me. And I wasn't even a member. They had their group of builders around a table from all different parts of the country. So they weren't afraid of sharing their numbers. They weren't afraid of sharing their plans, their ideas, their thoughts, their issues. And they kind of networked and worked together, and they get together once or twice a year. It was fascinating. We have PWB. You know what? You also have young professionals. This federation, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to lose you to the young professionals, but I want you to reach out to them. There's a great group of younger women and guys who are doing what you're doing. You're stepping out. Keep your passion, keep your strength, keep your curiosity. But reach out and see what other people are doing. There's a couple members that are coming to mind right now that I think have done what you're doing. I think you need to reach out and see who else is doing this. And they don't have to be competitors. They can be in another state for all you know. But definitely don't be afraid to reach out, and certainly don't be afraid to take the leap. Good going. I'm proud of everyone that is willing to do that.
Yes.
Oh, I see Lou Ellen saying you can belong to both. Okay, but first, yeah. PWB.
Yes, PWB first. Actually, I went back to my list because Paige is actually a local member of somebody of a company that actually does support PWB.
Good.
So Paige, feel free to reach out to me and I can get you connected a little bit more, and I'll work with Karen for some people out of the area that have been through that transition that you can probably talk to.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm happy to make sure I coordinate. Paige, oh, Claudia Richards said, Paige, Claudia Richards said, please email her and she can connect you with young professionals, because we locally do not have one, but they do have one, I believe, in the Spokane area. So that may be a group to connect to.
Perfect.
So I'm looking in between the chat and the question and answer, and Julie Bacon said, Karen, thanks for being on today. Claudia,
oh, thank you.
Yes, I'm just trying to see if there are any other questions running around. All right, I want to make sure we get enough chance to do this. And Karen, for myself, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time for this. I know it's with your national duties. Is that a good way to put that? There's a lot of meetings you have to attend to, so it's really appreciated that you took time to speak to our group today. And
absolutely, absolutely. It was a bit
it's great that we got people with you, that we got people from really around the country, because I saw a comment in there from somebody from Utah. Christy Allen, I think, was from Utah. Mm-hmm. So it's really neat that, and I really, hopefully we get more of these, that people from other states that are doing these virtuals, we can get on board with those and support each other, not just in our state, but across state lines. So
absolutely. And keep in mind that house that she built in Utah, I'm going to try to actually go there during their parade of homes. Anybody that wants to go. I mean, I think it's just awesome for us all to show our support.
Yes, that's actually in our local executive meetings and our conference meetings, that has been brought up a few different times. So I need to do a little bit more research on that. And Christy Allen just said she'd love to have you, Karen.
I'm planning on it. I'm going to be there. I want to go. I'm excited.
Yes, because it's one of those that these are phenomenal things that the locals can do, and it's nice to be able to share different projects across the locals as well, that we can do. So are there any, I'll just do one last, are there any other questions? The comments have been phenomenal, guys. Any other questions? I just want to make sure I give everybody a chance that has, if any of those that joined on late. Not seeing any. All right. Thank you again, Karen, for such an outstanding presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, I also want to thank again our sponsor, ERNwest. And again, I also want to make sure I thank the, God, if I can speak today, the MBA Kingston-Homish staff for helping host this webinar. They do a lot of the background work, and I just want to make sure that they know that they're very much appreciated. We do hope, for all of you that are here locally, we do hope to see you at a future PWB event. Like I said, we have our Shaken Not Stirred coming up. Definitely our conference, which fingers crossed will be in person in October, which would be great. But definitely stay safe, and you can stay up to date, at least those here locally, you can stay up to date on all the events at the website mbaks.com/events. And Karen, once again, phenomenal. I so much appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me participate. I was a little nervous when you told me how many people were showing up. I thought I might have been over my head here, but thank you.
Not at all. You did phenomenally well. So,
appreciate it.
For all the participants, we will be sending out a survey. So if you definitely, when you get that email on the survey, could please fill it out so that we can make sure we continue to make these events bigger and better and more informative for all the participants. That would be phenomenal. So I think that is about it. So Karen, again, thank you. And for everybody that was on the webinar, I really, really hope you got a chance to get some good knowledge out of this. And that you join us at our PWB events in the future. The one in October, save the date, October 7th, is going to be phenomenal. All right, goodbye, everybody.